Hello, hello. This is the 204th Test from the Future, an experimental podcast from the year 2225, which we are sending from our present to yours. My name is Dirk.
And my name is Simon.
And we're putting the past in podcast. Before we start, Simon, I have to say I am a little sad.
What's up?
My e-koala is broken.
Oh, that's very sad. The one you just got?
Yeah.
That's very sad indeed. Do you know why or how?
No, I don't know. And I think I also mentioned to you initially, okay, as a present, I thought it was kind of weird and a little dumb and so on. But after it followed me around for a week, it was rather cute.
It had grown on you, yeah? And I guess, I've not had one myself, but does it have that thing where it emits the smell of eucalyptus leaves?
Yeah, it does that. Yeah,
that's a pretty nice smell.
And it was so unnoticeable until it's not there anymore.
Of course.
And also the sounds, of course, that it made. And it's like initially it was like, okay, cool, because I couldn't imagine that being around forever. But after a few hours, it was like things started to feel a little empty.
Sure. So you just got the e-koala recently, so is it still under warranty?
That's a good point, actually. I haven't checked. It just was earlier today.
Okay, you've not had time yet.
Nope, I was
but hopefully,
mostly feeling sad.
Sure. I mean, hopefully it is under warranty, and hopefully it can be taken care of, and you'll have it back soon.
Good. Ending this sad message with a positive outlook.
Hopefully.
Yes. Okay, yeah. Now the topic of this week is not e-koalas.
No. It's The Last Dictator.
Yes, The Last Dictator.
Yeah.
And we have not mentioned, I think, The Last Dictator before because it really is the last.
Yep. The final one.
Yes, there are no other dictatorships anywhere else in the world except here.
Or in the solar system, for that matter.
Yeah, exactly. And I think if we had left things developing as they were, we probably wouldn't have had this dictatorship anymore either.
Correct. This one is actually, it's there because it's a UNESCO World Heritage Site.
Yeah. Exactly.
Yeah.
It's the when the second last dictatorship ended. I don't know which one this was or when this was, a long time ago. The UN had said, there's now only really one left.
Yeah.
We need to protect this as part of Earth history.
Right. They're no longer forming naturally, as it were.
Yeah.
So exactly to protect this final one as an example of what humans used to live like.
Yeah, exactly. And like we were saying, like all the other ones slowly disappeared naturally, peacefully, and this last one, then they said, okay, no, we have to keep this as kind of like World Heritage. So, want to tell our listeners where it is?
Yeah, it's in Wisconsin.
Yes.
Used to be its a state in the US. For a long time now, it's been its own separate country within the US.
The Wexit, they call it.
Wexit, exactly.
If you are in Wisconsin nowadays, you still see Wexit stickers and so on. So they still make new ones, although it's, I don't know how long ago.
Yeah, it's been a while.
So to make sure it stays in place, it gets some serious funding from the UN.
Yeah, because exactly, dictatorship is not a stable form of government, can't actually continue to exist.
No.
Under its own steam. So exactly, it gets lots of funding.
Yeah, also to maintain the things that a dictatorship needs.
The trappings,
Exactly, the peculiarities, the oddities, and then it's not something you can finance through normal governance. So that's why they get subsidies for,
for their military.
True, they have an unnecessary large military.
Yeah, there's no one to fight.
Yes.
No one will fight them.
No.
There's nowhere for them to conquer, but okay, they want to have a big old military.
Or to defend against anything.
No one's going to attack them.
But that's what the history tells us. Dictatorships needs an unnecessary large military, so they have one. And to maintain it, they get funds.
Yep.
And obviously, my favorite part is the laminate swimming pool that the dictator has.
Yeah, of course. And his own personal one in his palace, but then, of course, there's many throughout the state, or throughout the country, I guess.
In his summer residence, in his winter residence, they all have laminate pools,
Yeah.
And,
Oh, and then of course, every home, every business, every dwelling, every structure has a painting of the dictator in it.
Obviously.
Yeah, in every room for that matter.
In all kinds of styles.
Exactly, and that's the point. These aren't prints. These are paintings.
Actual paint.
Yep. So that needs a lot of funds.
Exactly, and then at one point the dictator decided to grow a mustache and a beard. At one point he shaved his head bald, then he decided to wear sunglasses. And
exactly, and it's not a matter of modifying the painting that already exists. It's a matter of now you've got to get a new painting. Yeah,
the other one is not in style anymore. Yeah, so that needs a lot of funding. Yeah. But I mean, what?
But I mean, actually, so we're saying funding, and sure, the UN does provide the framework, but actually most of the money comes from visitors, because this whole thing is a theme park,
Yeah.
It's not, I mentioned it, country, is it a state? It's really a theme park.
Yeah.
It used to be a for real dictatorship, like a really grisly state of affairs. And when the UN stepped in and said, hey, we've got to preserve this, they wanted to preserve it, but not in that state. Not in
it's more sanitized, I call it,
Yeah, theme park version.
Yeah, and it's just developed in that direction, kind of. And it's also, a theme park is also a little bit self-financing.
Right, exactly.
And you can buy these paintings as well, right? Also, if you don't actually live in Wisconsin, you can still go there, buy the paintings. And of course, with this, you actually also fund the theme park dictatorship. Yeah, and but the dictator, did we mention his name?
Not, I don't think so, no.
So Peter the Greatest.
That's it.
Peter the Greatest. That's what his name is, and it includes an exclamation mark at the end. He's quite
exactly. It's not optional punctuation.
Yeah,
it's officially part of his title.
He's really picky about this.
Yeah.
It's like any documentation doesn't include the exclamation mark gets sent right back.
Yep.
But he's I don't know any other dictators.
No.
But for me, he's your typical dictator.
Seems to be, believes that everything he says is amazingly profound.
Yeah.
Very self-confident.
Says lots of weird things, but lots of conviction. The other day he wanted to have export taxes on cauliflowers, remember that?
Yeah.
And taxis.
And taxes, I think, just because it kind of vaguely rhymed with taxes.
Yes,
that also seemed to be the only logic there.
There was some sort of, and also export taxes, not import.
Oh no, just wanted to tax his so Wisconsin's own cauliflowers going elsewhere.
Yes,
and I mean this works because, like we mentioned, it's a theme park. So sure, he can say this.
Yeah,
sure, it's put into law, as it were, law in quotation marks. There doesn't actually affect cauliflowers or taxes.
I think he also even said that in a talk show as an answer or so. But he's a popular guest, right? Exactly, because he says these kind of things.
Yeah.
I mean, of course,
entertaining.
Yeah, exactly. He's an entertaining person. He's also one of a kind. So, like you can't let's get the other dictator on our reality show or whatever. No, we only have this one. Yes, it's really hard to avoid him if you follow popular entertainment. There's
especially like you're saying, talk shows in the middle of the day.
Yeah, those definitely, or quiz shows or reality shows or whatever.
Reality shows, of course.
2 weeks on an island.
I think that's how most people around the world know him because of his reality show.
True, actually.
I mean, people do visit, go to Wisconsin, but not enough for it to... Basically, the audience for the show is much higher than the number of people who go. Just the super fans who go to Wisconsin.
It's funny enough. I keep forgetting the name of the country because, I mean, Peter the Greatest, for me, his name is more famous than Wisconsin.
Right.
I mean, I don't actually forget it. I know that this is the last...
but when you think of it in your mind, you're thinking of it as his domain.
Yeah, exactly. But they're still, because they've been around for so long, they also have your typical dictatorship laws, right?
Strange ones that don't make any sense, but hey, some previous dictator put them into law and that's where they'll stay.
Exactly, and especially because it's now a world heritage, it's not so easy or practically impossible to get rid of them. Or to add...
Well, and now there's... So back when it was an actual dictatorship, of course, there was a drive for reform.
Yeah.
But from the people who lived there. By now, no one actually lives there anymore.
Yeah.
Other than Peter the Greatest.
Mm-hmm.
Everyone else there, it's, they're there 3 days a week for their job, but they live
Employees
elsewhere.
and
exactly.
tourists and
or they're tourists there visiting. So exactly these bizarre laws, sure, keep them. Why not?
Yeah, exactly. My favorite one, I think that's the most famous one anyway. The 10-toe tax.
For people with 10 toes. Yeah,
people with 10 toes. Yeah,
and
robots love that one.
Yep. They, for our listeners, because they don't have toes.
Not necessarily.
Not necessarily. Or it's trivial for them to have a different number.
Yes, true.
Although actually, it's tax. It's in the name, the 10-toe tax.
Yeah.
If you have 20 toes, if you're a robot, do you have to pay the tax twice?
Oh.
And so is it basically that way, or is it only a tax on people who have exactly 10? Some folk are born with more toes.
I think it's exactly 10. Yeah.
Exactly 10. So if you lose one in an accident, that would be a harsh way to avoid a tax would be to lose a toe.
Ooh.
Maybe that was something grim in the past, at least right now.
It would be consolation. It's like,
yeah.
oh man, I lost a toe, or I only have 9 toes, and then, but then I don't have to pay tax.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
So anyway, that's one example. Another one is not exactly a law, but just the entire world and the solar system. We use the metric system, except for Wisconsin, where it's just called. So instead of using the meter, they use the Peter, which is to say the height of Peter. That's one Peter, Peter the Greatest, which, he's been around, what is he? I think he's around 45 by now, so he's been around a little while, but okay, so previous to him, a Peter was a different length, relative to meters. Okay, the conversion system changes each time.
Yes, exactly, yeah. And also, you have the millimeter, that's the millipeter.
The millipeter, of
but
course.
They don't have the kilopeter. Because
you couldn't have 1,000 Peters.
Is it kilo? Is it 1,000? I don't know actually.
I think so.
I think he.
Wait. A milli is dividing by 1,000. A kilo is multiplying by 1,000.
Yeah, true. But he didn't want that because it made him sound heavy.
Right. Yes.
Yeah. So you can. So it's just. I think it's 1,000. Is it 1,000 meter? 1,000 Peter. But you can't say kilopeter.
I see.
Yeah. And there's all kinds of funny things like that. Yes, zebra crossings. Mm-hmm. Zebra crossings are forbidden.
Yep, they're not allowed. Instead, they have cheetah crossings.
Yes.
Which, that's also an animal.
Yes.
And sure, rather than black and white stripes, they're yellow with black dots.
Yeah, it's a different pattern. But they're consistent. Anywhere through Wisconsin, you don't find a zebra crossing. It's forbidden. They all have cheetah patterns because, quote, they're way cooler.
Yeah, and there's still no cars there, so it's kind of why it's redundant anyway. Yeah, zebra crossing, cheetah crossing. Okay, it's in the law. They had these long ago when there were cars. They have them still.
Yeah, and
there's a lot of adhering to old tradition, I guess, for want of a better word, regardless of whether or not it makes sense.
Yeah, and of course, you can't argue with an argument that says it's way cooler.
That's true.
Have you been there actually?
Mm-hmm. Yep, I have been, and most recently was 2 weeks ago I went.
2 weeks ago? Mm-hmm. Cool.
Yeah, specifically to get this. See, check it out.
Hey.
Pretty cool.
Where did you just get that? I didn't notice it. I didn't notice it until just now.
Sure. Because I knew we were going to record, you see. I had it here on my desk under this cloth. It was a little mysterious.
Okay, you did that quite tricky.
Mm-hmm.
That's really cool.
Mm-hmm.
So, shall I describe it to the listener?
Please do.
Okay, so it's a wooden carving. So there's like a semicircle background.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know if it's a rising sun or nothing specifically. And there's in the wood is little pine trees cut. And then I guess the guy in the middle with the sunglasses is Peter the Greatest.
Mm-hmm. Like a little effigy of him.
And then I think he's feeding like a baby moose.
Mm-hmm. That's what it looks like.
Yeah. Quite cool, actually.
If you look really closely, so yes, feeding a baby moose, but not like with, leaves or something. But instead he's holding a pot of yogurt, has a spoon, and he's getting some yogurt from the pot to feed the baby moose. And actually, maybe it's chocolate mousse in that pot. But, okay, the detail's not fine enough.
That's funny.
Mm-hmm.
That's would you say a typical souvenir?
Mm-hmm. Yep. Anything with, featuring Peter the Greatest, of course. Mm-hmm. But there were many of these little wooden relief, effigy, carving things.
Yeah, okay. And always having him doing nice things.
Exactly. And so I went there specifically to pick this up, because I've been there before, but I specifically wanted this, just because I saw it, someone shared a picture. I was like, you know what, that's so strange. I have nothing like that. I've never needed or ever wanted anything like that, but somehow it calls to me.
Yeah.
And that's why I went to get it.
Cool. I met the guy.
I did not know that. When did that happen?
Yeah, okay, maybe it's... I mean, we were in the same room, let's put it that way. I didn't actually
you didn't have a conversation?
No, he was considering investing all kinds of money in the UFO pool. Mm-hmm. And of course, it's the United Federation of Planets organization. So it's basically all the planets are a member, both in our solar system as in the other ones. And he wanted Wisconsin to become a member too. And then we were saying that makes
Earth's already.
So it doesn't make no sense. Wisconsin is not a planet, but that's not the kind of arguments that he's accustomed to.
Sure.
And instead, he just came over and promised lots of, sponsorship.
Oh, okay, and then followed through on that, or
we
you declined.
We declined. Yeah, so we have enough funding as enough funding already, and. I really couldn't come up with a really good argument saying, or the others saying, suddenly Wisconsin is a planet.
It would be a stretch. Like, it's already kind of a stretch to say it's its own country, but okay, that's established. Okay, whatever. But to say it's a whole separate planet, that is more of a stretch.
Yeah. But I mean, you have to applaud the guy for the creative idea. Like, he didn't want to settle with Wisconsin being its own country. He wanted Wisconsin to be acknowledged as its own planet. Mm-hmm. But not through us.
No. And I think if he were to actually move Wisconsin off Earth onto its own planetary body, there would be less tourism. So probably that wouldn't work out too well.
And also, I'm not sure if the UNESCO would then still...
That's what I'm saying. They might stop funding it and it would all fall apart.
Yeah. So...
And then, talking of things falling apart...
Yeah.
Dictators don't live forever. People don't live forever.
Nope. So what happens?
Exactly. So either dies or runs away or just mysteriously...
disappears.
Exactly.
Dictators used to...
Sometimes do that. Well, used to do that. That's a good point. So there's anarchy.
Yeah.
Because ways of a dictator are they don't actually leave us a proper succession plan. They get rid of all their rivals. This is a theme park, so getting rid of rivals doesn't actually mean assassination.
Nope.
But it means, not keeping people around who would actually be able to continue in that role. The biggest thing is that a dictator doesn't want someone else who is charismatic, who other people would actually like to be their leader.
Yeah.
So anyway, anarchy.
Yes.
But officially organized and...
there are rules.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Regulated anarchy.
And you can,
limited to within Wisconsin.
Yeah, obviously within
and
Wisconsin.
And all with the actors,
Exactly, and you can get tickets. Mm-hmm. So,
it's a bit like Renaissance Fair, yeah?
Yeah, exactly.
So watch the people jousting and whatnot for jockeying for position and so on.
And it's pretty rare. Like, the dictators tend to last quite a while. So if this is actually happening, tickets go really fast. Mm-hmm. And sometimes with really horrible prices.
Yeah, that's the downside.
And then there's, anarchy for a while, then kind of like semi-democratic elections.
Yeah.
Then there's results that nobody accepts.
Exactly. And then so we mentioned they've got this huge, unnecessarily huge military. Yeah. So, then a commander or a general or whatever from within that, stands up and says, hey, you know what? This is nonsense. I'm in charge now. Just temporarily, while we sort things out.
Exactly.
And then that temporarily... somehow becomes 30, 40, 50 years or whatever.
Yeah, a little bit longer than...
Basically, they're the next...
Still
dictator.
Temporarily, just a very long...
temporarily until they die, but exactly, not temporarily in the sense of there'll be a different form of government because this is a UNESCO heritage site.
Yeah.
No progress allowed in terms of political system.
Yeah, exactly. But that's also why it's officially regulated, right? So it's to make sure that we stick to the dictatorship rules. Mm-hmm. Yeah, so that's, I think that's about it. Or did we miss anything?
Well, you mentioned the strange laws they have. I mean, this, I don't know if it's just strange. I mean, we don't have anything like this in where we live, here in Germany or anywhere else in the rest of the world. They have an applause day.
Oh, yeah, the applause day.
So Peter the Greatest goes on a tour of Wisconsin, and wherever he arrives at, everyone applauds him.
True, and then they're always announced on short notice, right? So it's not like, hey,
it doesn't give people time to prepare.
Always the third Saturday in April is applause day. No, just whenever he feels like it. Tomorrow, the day after, is applause day, right?
Mm-hmm. Yeah. I think that's about it. I mean, there's all these. I mean, the main thing that kind of makes it interesting is that it is all this show.
Yeah,
it's all like I said, theme park for people to visit, people to work in. It provides a lot of busy work.
Yeah,
and you have this entertaining person at the center of it.
Yeah, exactly, and you have these unscheduled events like changing of the dictator, like this anarchy that we mentioned, but also applause day. That's a cool thing, This is announced. Hey, it's applause day the day after tomorrow in Wisconsin. Let's go there. It's like event based. Yeah. Mm-hmm. Okay, the Last Dictator.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
So, shall I move to listener question?
Mm-hmm. Yep, let's do so. Do you want to read it or shall I?
I can read it.
Please do.
So it was sent to us by Pirrko. She wrote, "Hey guys, Pirrko here from Finland. I hope this email finds you well. I'm a bit of an amateur astronomer, which basically means that I read the astronomy news and look at the sky sometimes. Smiley. Currently, in 2025, people on Earth were able to see 7 planets in a row, which was pretty cool. Do you have any such events happening soon? Bye-bye, Pirrko." So
they only had 7 planets back then, but that's pretty cool. 8 including Earth, yeah. But 7 that they could see in the sky from Earth.
Mm-hmm.
That's pretty cool.
Do we
have anything like that?
Yes. Recently, I remember the star constellation Lion.
Mm-hmm.
This bit the star constellation of the Great Bear in the ass. That was in the news.
Yep. The way they moved exactly lined up.
Exactly. They are usually separate, but how it lined up, it suddenly looked like the lion was biting the bear in the ass.
And that was really strange because usually constellations don't move around that much.
Yeah.
From the point of view of the Earth, So what was going on there? We don't know.
No, I don't know. Pretty rare. But they predicted it. It happened. And now they're kind of apart again. So
yeah. And I mean, stars are much further away than the planets in our own solar system.
Yeah.
Something closer than those planets, though. Next week it's scheduled. So we were talking about Laura Keat, I think, a couple of weeks ago, and her company. We mentioned how started off collecting all the space junk in orbit of the Earth, and they've finally collected the very last scraps. It was like the long tail of it all. They got rid of most of it early on. That was good enough. But now they've collected the very last of the scraps that were left there. Formed it all into one humongous ball. And they're going to send that down to smash into the Atlantic Ocean.
Oh.
And I mean, obviously it's going to disintegrate. Most of it's going to disintegrate, going through the atmosphere. So basically there's going to be this nice, huge shooting star.
Cool.
And that'll be quite fun to watch. Like, a scheduled shooting star rather than just happening to go by.
Next week, you were saying?
Next week.
Huh. I completely missed that. Friday night. Cool. I'm going to stay on the lookout.
Yeah,
and I'm going to make sure that I teleport somewhere where it's not a cloudy sky.
Exactly. And where you get a good view of it.
Cool. Okay. So
I think that's it, yeah?
Yep.
Okay. People who are listening to Tests from the Future in the year 2025, or actually they could be listening in 26, I guess, if they're listening here. People listening to our show, please send an email to michaellasagna5@gmail.com. Include the number 204 in the subject line so that we know this episode successfully went back in time. And if you have any questions or things you want to tell us, please include those in the email too.
For now, thanks for listening and see you in 200 years.
Bye-bye.